Cinderella was a kind young girl. She always had a smile on her face and a gentle demeanor that made everyone around her feel at ease. Her kindness knew no bounds, and she was always ready to lend a helping hand to anyone in need. She had a heart of gold. Her generosity and compassion were evident in everything she did. Whether it was sharing her meager meals with the less fortunate or comforting a friend in distress, Cinderella's heart shone brightly. But her stepmother and stepsisters were mean. They were envious of Cinderella's beauty and kind nature. They treated her with disdain and cruelty, always finding ways to make her life miserable. They made her wear rags and do all the chores. From dawn till dusk, Cinderella was forced to scrub floors, wash dishes, and tend to the household. Her hands were rough from the constant work, and her clothes were tattered and dirty. Cinderella dreamed of a better life. She wished for adventure and happiness. Often, she would sit by the window, gazing at the world outside, imagining a life filled with joy and freedom. Her dreams were her only escape from the harsh reality she faced every day. One day, a royal ball was announced. Every eligible maiden was invited. The entire kingdom buzzed with excitement, and Cinderella's heart leapt with hope. She saw this as a chance to break free from her oppressive life and experience something magical. Cinderella longed to go. She imagined dancing with the handsome prince. In her mind, she pictured herself in a beautiful gown, twirling gracefully across the ballroom floor, her heart filled with joy and wonder. But her stepmother forbade her. Cinderella was heartbroken. Her dreams were shattered as her stepmother's harsh words echoed in her ears. She was told she was not worthy of attending such a grand event. She felt like a prisoner in her own home. The walls of her small room seemed to close in on her, and the weight of her stepmother's cruelty pressed down on her spirit. Yet, deep inside, Cinderella held on to a glimmer of hope, believing that one day her kindness and heart of gold would lead her to a better life. As Cinderella sat weeping, feeling utterly hopeless, a fairy godmother appeared out of thin air, her presence illuminating the dimly lit room. She was a magical being, radiating warmth and kindness, with a twinkle in her eye, and a wand that seemed to hold the power of the stars. She had come to grant Cinderella's deepest wish, to transform her life and give her a chance to attend the royal ball. With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother worked wonders, casting spells that filled the room with magical sparkles and transformations. She turned a simple pumpkin into a grand carriage, elegant and fit for a princess, its golden wheels gleaming in the light. The fairy godmother transformed mice into majestic horses, strong and ready to pull the carriage, and lizards into footmen, dressed in fine livery, ready to serve. Cinderella's rags became a shimmering gown, more beautiful than anything she had ever seen, adorned with delicate lace and sparkling jewels. She had glass slippers on her feet. They sparkled like diamonds, catching the light with every step she took, making her feel like she was walking on air. The fairy godmother warned Cinderella about a midnight curfew, her voice gentle but firm, ensuring Cinderella understood the importance of returning before the magic faded. The magic will wear off, she cautioned, and everything will return to its original form. Cinderella nodded, her heart filled with gratitude and excitement for the night ahead. Cinderella was amazed by her transformation. She thanked her fairy godmother. Then, she set off for the ball in her magical carriage. When she arrived at the palace, everyone turned to look. Her beauty and grace were captivating. The prince was smitten by Cinderella. He asked her to dance. They waltzed the night away. Cinderella felt like a princess. She had never been so happy. But amidst the enchantment, she lost track of time. The clock began to strike midnight. Cinderella panicked. She remembered the fairy godmother's warning. The magic would only last until the final stroke of midnight. Her heart raced as she realized she had only moments to escape before everything returned to its original state. "I must go," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with urgency. She gathered her flowing gown and rushed out of the ballroom, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The grand staircase seemed endless as she descended, each step echoing her desperation. The prince, captivated by her beauty and grace, reached out to stop her. "Wait!" he called, his voice filled with confusion and longing. But Cinderella was in a hurry. She couldn't afford to lose a single second. Her heart ached as she heard his voice, but she knew she had to keep going. In her haste, one of her delicate glass slippers slipped off her foot and tumbled down the stairs. She glanced back, but there was no time to retrieve it. The slipper lay there, glistening in the moonlight, a silent witness to her hurried departure. Cinderella didn't have time to retrieve it. She ran out of the palace and into her carriage, her heart pounding in her chest. The coachman, sensing her urgency, whipped the horses into a gallop. The carriage sped away from the palace, the sound of hooves echoing in the night. As the carriage sped away, the magic began to fade. The elegant coach slowly transformed back into a simple pumpkin, the horses into mice, and her beautiful gown into rags. Cinderella watched in dismay as the enchantment unraveled before her eyes. By the time Cinderella reached home, everything was back to normal. She stepped out of the pumpkin, now just a humble girl in plain clothes. The grand adventure seemed like a distant dream as she walked towards her modest cottage. Only the single glass slipper remained as a reminder of the magical night. She picked it up, holding it close, a symbol of hope and the promise of a brighter future. The night had been enchanting, but now it was time to return to reality. The prince was devastated that the mysterious girl had disappeared. He found the glass slipper she had left behind. He vowed to find the maiden who fit the slipper. He believed she was the one. The prince launched a kingdom-wide search. He went from house to house. Every maiden was asked to try on the glass slipper, but it fit none. The prince began to lose hope. He feared he would never find his mysterious love. The prince's men arrived at Cinderella's house. Her stepsisters were excited. They were eager to try on the slipper. They believed one of them would be the chosen one, but the slipper didn't fit either of them. The stepsisters were furious. They had been so close to becoming princesses. Cinderella watched from the sidelines. She knew the slipper was hers, but her stepmother had locked her in her room. She couldn't understand why the prince was looking for her. The prince was about to give up hope. Just then, Cinderella's fairy godmother appeared. She magically unlocked the door to Cinderella's room. Cinderella came downstairs. The prince was stunned by her beauty. He asked her to try on the glass slipper. To everyone's amazement, the slipper fit perfectly. It was a perfect match. The prince was overjoyed. He had finally found his mysterious love. Cinderella's stepfamily was shocked. They couldn't believe that the beautiful maiden was actually Cinderella. The prince took Cinderella to his palace. They were married in a grand ceremony. Cinderella was finally living her dream. She was no longer a servant, she was a princess. Cinderella ruled the kingdom with kindness and compassion. She never forgot where she came from. Cinderella's story teaches us that goodness and kindness always prevail, and that dreams really do come true. It's a tale filled with magic, adventure, and the power of believing in oneself.